This is this is creating an exceptional customer experience for your salon and spa. I'm KK. I like to call myself your hostess with the mostest. A little bit about me. I absolutely love this industry. I've supported it for the last 2 decades of my career. I really believe in a lot of what you all are bringing to the table now because you're probably feeling like there's finally a moment where there's new customers to be acquired and not the same that always come in for the same services and offerings. And also we're at this unique time in our world and in our economy. And I really want to support what you're doing today with some best practices, maybe some gentle, loving redirection and some ideas about how you can keep things fresh, and to give you the perspective I have as a certified mind body business consultant. Using this platform, I know that there are so many ways for you to go from great to even better. And that's really the schema and the perspective that I'm going to share with you today. So let's dive in. Also, as shared, I'm really comfortable with your questions, and I recommend that you go ahead and use the Q&A chat button throughout so that I can curate your questions, perhaps answer them on the fly, or find a time sometime in the presentation. I really love making this personal for you, and I'm more than happy to do so. So let's dive in. So a little bit about what we're going to focus on today. I want to drill it into 3 core areas of opportunity. And it's to create an unforgettable, I'm also going to add in the word unique customer experience. And so whether we're talking about investing in the customer experience or the 5 pillars of customer service, which may seem like something you've known for a while, that I want to give you a different spin and a unique look on, or talking about feedback and ways that you can embrace that feedback now, maybe even with, staffing shortages and difficulties in your market. I want you to leave this entire time together feeling energized, maybe having a few ideas written down of things you'd like to vet and consider, and most importantly, to have your customer at the forefront of anything you plan to do for the second half of this year for your business, because that really is why we're all here and why your business is what it is today and why it will continue to thrive in the future. So let's talk about investing in your customer experience. Hey, I've got good news for you. You've been here maybe a few minutes, and if I could leave you one thing that I recommend you do, this would be it. You could leave now. I'll see you next time. But truly, I believe that there's a time where doing what you do best and have been doing for some time is enough. And then there's 2022. And I think this is that time that I'd love to encourage you to find ways to do even better than you have before as it relates to your customer experience. And here's one reason that I think that could compel you. And we know this. Not only does good customer service cost less than bad customer service, but that client that you've worked so hard to achieve, that you've maybe spent money on acquiring, that you've had effort and a lot of substance to procure, they're looking at your business now, maybe a little bit differently than they were in the past. Maybe you have more competitors than ever before. Maybe there are bigger, national chains that are making your smaller business feel a bit encroached in the market. Maybe you are the big national chain and you're looking for opportunities to continue to grow and thrive in a market that maybe you weren't in the last couple of years, or in the way that you would like. So at the end of the day, we all know this. It costs way less to retain an existing client than it does to create and really receive a new one. But I think the core of this comes down to how we treat our client. And that's what good customer service does that really not much else can compete with. So I want to tell you a story about why I think it's just so essential to invest in your customer's experience. And I know I'm probably speaking to the choir here, but roll with me. There's a reason why I think it's important for us to touch base on this today and now at this point in the business climate. So I'm sure you may or may not have heard of a story of a guy named Bob Farrell and his concept called Give 'em the Pickle. And the story is he ran a really successful small business and got a letter from a customer one day, one of those I'm unhappy, something went wrong letters that I know we all as business owners look forward to. I myself have owned and operated a salon and spa business, and I know when I get those messages, that I'm dreading them half the time because they're things I'm not willing, not able, or just don't have the resources to put towards right now. And imagine he gets this letter from the client, and he really does have two choices, like we all do. And the first is to lean into the client need and to find a way to make them feel special and maybe go back to basics with acts of kindness. But he also has the ability and the willingness as an owner to say, you know what, that's just not a client that we want back in our business. And I think there's times where we've leaned into the empowerment of being individually owned businesses or small businesses where we get to choose who our clients are and the types of clients we like to attract. And now more than ever, I think I'd want to encourage you to find ways to make peace and to give great customer service and retain every single client that you can possibly touch. And so the concept here is in the restaurant that he ran, the customer was upset because there was a pickle that they were asked to pay extra for that they thought was just, not the appropriate use of their value as a longtime customer. And basically the customer said, look, I'm not coming back. I just didn't want to pay extra for the pickle. But here's the thing I want to compel on you. And it's whether we're selling restaurant goods, blowouts, wellness services, massages, at the end of the day, I think one of the most important concepts in your life, in your business life, in your principles as a small and locally owned business is lifetime customer value. So I want you to think longer term about your clients, particularly in salon and spa, because we have such a high touch with our clients. And so that high touch typically leads to very high retention. What it also does, I believe, as a client also in the salon spa industry, is it leaves us feeling maybe a bit more hurt when things go wrong than we would in a broader touch setting. So as you're thinking through some of these recommendations and maybe ideas of how you can invest in your customer's experience, I want you to think from the lens of maybe the most difficult client you've worked with in the last year or two, and think about how you can make things better for them and more memorable and more positive. Because at the end of the day, keeping that client happy, giving them that pickle, right? That few cents extra that you could have charged them could really be the difference between a lifetime client and a client that you have to just go out and find over and over and over again. And as a marketer, although that excites me, I can definitely encourage you that that is more difficult work now than ever before. So let's talk about those random acts of kindness and what they mean for your business. The first is attitude. Now, some of these are going to seem really consistent with core principles that you're either trying to instill in your staff today or have for a long time. And the thing is about attitude is when you're thinking about what your pickle is, right? What's your special thing that you can give to your clients? Sometimes it's just having a consistent posture of servant and service. Sometimes it's understanding where clients are in the grand scheme of life, where they may be picking apart your pricing for the first time in a long time. Maybe they had a financial setback. So I think it starts with us as owners and leaders, but it also trickles down to our team. And I think having that level of how do we serve our customer attitude that's really at the forefront of everything you do, but layering that alongside the consistency of maybe how we incentivize our teams and how we spend the time and the effort on the customer experience now in these times can really make a difference to help you to keep those customers not just happy, but create raving fans out of them, to make them the kind of client that reaches out to friends and family and says, hey, come in, you got to try these services. I've been going here for a while and I can't believe I haven't thought to invite you before, but here's that special experience that I want to share with you. And so as you're thinking about, who faces your clients, what's their attitude, what do they do well? And maybe what are they doing consistently and what are they not doing consistently? I want you to think about each person on your team as maybe a piece of your service, because really, look with what we do. A lot of what we do is people oriented, right? It's not just about product. So are we in the right position with the right team member, facing the right client at the right time? Do you have anyone in your business right now that comes to mind that helps you to think, oh my gosh, this may not be the right staff member to be greeting the client at this stage in their life cycle? It may be who checks them in. It may be who cuts their hair or delivers their services. And it could very well be who manages the entire staff. So this is tough decision stuff, right? This is not easy things to think about. But as we're going through this today, and as we're talking about ways to level up, I would be remiss if I didn't go through all 4 of these acts with you and to give you this perspective that I want you to have, which is, well, what's the attitude of yourself towards your business and your customers? What's the attitude of your staff and their posture towards what they bring to the table? What can you do really well and consistently? And most importantly, where are those areas of collaboration, but where are they lacking? Where can someone on the team step up that can help draw together everything in the client experience? Where can technology support you? Got some suggestions there. And where can service really be one of those things that sets you apart? But hear my heart, it can't be the only thing. I think for a long time, we've been an industry that has focused so much on customer service and our personal relationships with clients. And then the world changed and we realized that there is just so much more out there that we need to focus on to be sustainable, to be, hey, I'm going to say it, profitable, and also to have that level of what you bring to the table that clients, they don't want to live without. They are ready to come back as soon as you open your doors. They are excited about who you are as a business and what you bring to the table that makes you unique, and that every experience they have is so good that they're looking for people to come in and try your services. So here's one really core way to think about things that you can do differently, and that's to make each experience fully immersive. So you've heard of the 5 senses, right? Sound, sight, taste, smell, feel. But one thing that maybe you haven't ever done or done in a while is to consider how this relates to the services that you currently offer. Now, I know I'm speaking to salon and spa business owners. You guys have basically nailed the beginnings of customer service that many businesses use today, offering a beverage to guests when they are waiting, having music and atmosphere as part of your investment, selling retail, having Wi-Fi on site. Many of your businesses started this well before other niches and other economies ever thought to offer those services. So I am asking you to go a little bit deeper today. So I'm going to take a moment, and as you think through each of these immersive aspects of your business, maybe write down or put a note in your phone what one of these that you can focus on in the next 90 days, just through your summer months, through your fall, where you can make a difference and do something different to make the experience even better. And I'll just give you some examples of best practices that clients of mine in the salon and spa industry have implemented with success, just to get your brain going. And hey, if you're feeling willing, feel free to throw some in the chat. I love seeing your feedback, and I really enjoy seeing this become really relevant for you. So when I think about sound, I think everyone knows that music heightens the customer experience, but there are times where we haven't considered that there are different ways to approach each experience and immersion based on client desire. So sound, sight, taste, this can be very personal per your client's needs. Some best practices that I've seen do really well in our industry is offering like a towel service that has essential oils and having the client choose which essential oil they'd like. So, after their blow dry or after their hot sauna session, or whenever they're done with their massage, having something that just brings that feeling, that etherealness, that unique quality to the end of their service. It doesn't cost very much, but boy, does it create this, it's like a mental imagery of what your business is like and what their experience can be. Other examples can be turning one of your services into something really one of a kind. Actually, I love this example that I'm going to give you because it's here in my backyard. I live here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So a spa and salon capital in and of itself. And the newest hotel on the Strip recently opened their spa. And they did something really unique. They took a normal, average, everyday spa service, a sauna, and turned it into a true event experience. You should look it up. It's called the Resorts World Spa. And at Resorts World, what they've done is they took the sauna that, typically people just go, in between the casino and everything else and sit in the sauna and debrief and maybe take a day off of, the crazy hot weather outside. They turned that into a weekend event that you can book that has dancers that are trained in a very specific type of sauna dance. And there's lights and there's music. And of course, because it's Las Vegas, they've invested like money in the very best speakers and sound experience that money can buy. And I can tell you, although it's just recently opened, that is a unique experience for someone that, I don't care if it's your 100th sauna experience, if it's your 5th time on the Las Vegas Strip, if you hear about that service, it's already giving you that imagery of something unique, something experiential, something you can't get anywhere else. And no matter where you are in the world, no matter what your service is or business is, that is what I'd like to bestow upon you, is to find ways that make each experience that every client that patrons your business have so personal, so different from your competitors, and really unique to who you are and what you want to be. A couple other examples. I have a client that did a great job putting together what they called a local business boutique box. So although they were a salon and spa business, they partnered with other types of business in their local market and featured something from each of them. It was a product, it could be a service, and they featured it prominently at their check-in and checkout area. So they were able to speak about their neighbors had a box and could speak about them. And there was just this collaborative, like, we care about our neighborhood imagery that was really easy for someone to see from the moment they walked in. And they lived that principle. So it was also something that I think a local client could see that they were being invested in, more than just a client, more than just selling them services, but they were really involved in their local neighborhood and all the businesses around them. And then I'll give you one more example. When I think about my personal experience in the salon chair, I had a feeling I'd never had before after probably thousands of salon services, which was that I really was uncomfortable having my back to the mirror. It was something I had never had an issue with before, but during the pandemic, I had a poor experience and realized that I was feeling some anxiety, not being able to see what was going on in the stylist chair. And so one thing that I brought to my salon client was, hey, it may be we're at this point in the world where every client has like a unique need of how they want to be treated. And one thing that you can offer them is whether or not they want to see themselves getting work done so that the client is in the driver's seat and gets to decide, yes, I want to see you cut 3 inches off of my hair. No, I would rather not see that and cry. So I think that's where, whether it's sound or sight or taste or smell, or even this very intangible feel, there is a way for you to be unique in your services now, and for you to be personal and to really give the client what they're looking for, whatever that pickle is, from every experience, every time. So let me take a moment there and shift gears and talk about the 5 pillars of customer service. Now, this is where I think the business acumen and the passion for your services really can come together. So when we think about those aspects of customer service that are probably quite important to you and quite important to your clients, we're going to go through all 5 of these, but I'd like to take a moment and give you a chance to maybe decide which one you're thinking you haven't had a lot of focus in recently. So oftentimes, as a business owner myself, we're doing so many things. There's so many balls in the air. There's so much going on. We may have 4 really awesome areas that we are rocking it on, but there may be one on the screen right now that's maybe forcing you to realize that you haven't put a lot of energy or effort there. So I want you to note that, so that as I talk through each of them, you can really hone in on one pillar that you can do something great in the remainder of this year. Okay, so let's start with channel variety. So I'm especially passionate about this, not just because I'm a business expert, but because I think it's finally time and it's the future for us to have a variety of ways that we reach our clients and that they're able to get to know us. And one of the best ways to do that is to vary our methods of communication. And to do so, I think, based on client desire. So I do believe we're at the point in the world where more clients than not want a personal touch. They want to be able to get on your website and ask a question with live chat. They want to be able to actually have you respond on social media when they comment. When they send a contact form to your website, here's an idea. They want you to respond, open it, maybe follow up. And I think it's especially important now more than ever because although you're facing crazy competition, a wild world, and looking for ways to really improve your business outcomes now, those are things that you have access to right now that you can make changes to tomorrow and see a difference. Longer term aspects of your channel variety may be deciding to be what we call omni-channel, which is accessible everywhere, that you have the ability for clients to find you, to connect with you, to ask questions, to give feedback in a way that's just very broad and very easy for them, but that you're also keeping that personal service and that flexibility for them to do what's easiest for them. Sometimes it's self-service, checking themselves out, using their Apple Pay instead of giving you a hard credit card. Maybe it's being able to connect with you over the phone or text messaging. So I do think there's a lot of value to having channel variety as a customer service benefit. And I think now more than ever, it is such an easy and fun way to meet your clients' needs right where they are. And to be honest, it just makes the next pillar of support, I think, even more easy to achieve. And that's being proactive. So this is one of those areas that we all know, but I think if we put a little bit of time and emphasis towards with our team, we'll actually see even greater outcomes, even better emphasis on how we retain our clients and how they feel about their client experience beyond just the services that are offered. So this is those core principles of being a boutique-centered business, to be honest. That's attentiveness, empathy, having patience, being responsive to their feedback, and just having an overall realm of positivity. I always think one of the things we learned in these last couple of years is that clients come to us in the salon and spa industry, not just because they can't do it on their own. Sometimes they can. They can do the services that we offer, on their own. It may not be as great, but they can. But they come to us as experts. They come to us for perspective. They come to us for that little moment of the day that they don't get anywhere else, to be seen, to be heard, to be remembered. And that is all part of what we're selling as the customer experience. So I know it may seem like, as a massage therapist, that is the service that you're giving, right? That the facial or the eyelash extensions are the service that you're giving to the public. But I actually would love you to think differently and consider how your staff is providing these additional pillars of support for your clients. Are they attentive? Do they show empathy and they do so in a way that seems authentic? Are they patient, even though we all know time is money? And we all understand that there's a certain time and scope for your services, but are they patient to understand that sometimes people are just going through things, they're having a day, and they're in your chair, they're in your business, maybe looking for a little personal support and attention? Are we responsive to their feedback? If you got that letter about the extra charge for the pickle, would you give them the pickle? Or would you have had that moment where you wanted to go back and forth and explain to them why the charge was admittedly justified and potentially lose the client relationship? Do you feel confident that you would give them the pickle and then go above and be asked and above and beyond and ask for even more? What else can you do for them? And can we stay positive in spite of whatever is going on in the world, whatever's going on in our business climate? Can we be that place where clients come and they truly do see the benefits beyond just the services that we provide? I think that's incredibly important. So as we think about variety in how we communicate and connect, being proactive in how we support our clients, I think it seems really clear then that customer satisfaction is, it's not just at the core of what we do, it basically is what we do. And so whether it's investing in training your staff and having new standard operating procedures and training manuals, this is that time where maybe a lot has changed and it's time to put that on paper and disseminate that to your team. Maybe it's time to reevaluate, I know again, your policies and procedures, and to make sure that your entire staff is on track with what they bring to the table, what is in their role and what is outside of their role, but considered above and beyond and needed. And that everyone knows, I think, in a symbiotic way, who does what in the business, so that whether you have to role play out, the check-in and the checkout process, or how do we intake clients for the first time, I think that element of training and retraining is just as important on the business side as it is technically. So I know in Salon and Spa, we spend a lot of time on technical training, keeping up our skills and making sure that our staff is really good at what they do tangibly. I think on the business side, this is where it may seem very soft, but I want to compel you to focus on training the operations and the customer experience just as proficiently and just as passionately as you do those technical aspects of their role. And then as we shift and think about acquiring new customers, right? I don't know a single business owner that doesn't want to acquire a new business or a new customer to their business, but I do know that sometimes it seems like we acquire the customer, but we haven't spent the time to understand where can we give them that little extra attention? Where can we focus on making them feel really integrated and welcome to your client community? And where are we inclusive in the ways that we can attract more clients, maybe that we haven't had in the past, and more of those ideal clients that we know that we can provide amazing services for, but also how can we do so authentically? And how can we do so with the perspective of inclusivity being, regardless of what the client is looking for, you've got a solution for them. So this may even be expanding some of your services and offerings to get more share of your client's wallet or more share of the revenue that they can bring into your business as a mutual win-win. As someone who absolutely loves this industry, right, and loves patroning it, I can genuinely tell you this. If I can go to one instead of 7 businesses to get 6 or 7 different things done in one place, done well, I would absolutely love to do that. So whether I'm in a business that offers one service really well and is looking to expand into other services, I believe that as a client, they're looking for that consolidation as much as you're looking for more of that revenue. So it may be something that you think about as part of your new customer acquisition techniques. And then finally, this is where we think about that raving fan client, their loyalty, their retention. It's not enough anymore to just know their name and maybe remember a few things about them. I think one of the best client experiences I've ever had is when, my provider knew not just to acknowledge my milestones, but to celebrate them with me, to be so closely ingrained with their clients that it really was so personal that they had the time, the willingness, and they saw that as part of what they did, even though it had nothing to do with the services that they provided. So this can include everything from special occasions to just an everyday, you're back for your regular routine service, but we notice something different about you, emotional intelligence about how we know our customer best and how we can support them, regardless of what part of their journey that they're in and what we offer to them as a service. So this is where I get a little bit more into tools and software, because when we think about how we keep those customer relationships, front of mind and centered and tracked, this is where there's some great resources that I want to talk to you about as part of the Mind Body family. So I would say the first and easiest for you to implement, whether you have it as part of your software now, is the Marketing Suite. Marketing Suite creates an amazing system of communication in general. And one of those communications that I know can benefit you is collecting and responding to customer reviews. So what's great about this is you're not only able to generate reviews very easily, very efficiently, but you're also able to make it easy for your client to provide that feedback. I think there was a time where we would ask clients for feedback in our industry, and then there would be like 7 clicks and a couple things they needed to do in order to provide us that feedback. And now you have something that's at your fingertips, that's integrated in your software solution. And most importantly, it's giving you a way to nurture that client in a feedback system that's both two-way, that allows you to send rating requests via email, but then also allows clients to follow up and to get follow-up from you. One of my favorite parts about the review system in Marketing Suite is that if the rating is automatically rated good by the client, they get a follow-up request to send for the public review. So that's completely automated. Other things that I like about utilizing the Marketing Suite for your business in this area is that those reviews can easily be added as a widget to your website. So also easy to integrate, very automated, makes sense for, I think, the way that digital and technical and all the needs that you have outside of your brick and mortar and outside of your services are going. But also that within Marketing Suite, there are multiple ways to follow up with the client and to send communication that goes beyond just feedback. So I think there's some really great aspects to this platform that you can utilize now to improve the customer relationship, but also I think to go even deeper. So I'm going to throw this up on the screen and talk through each of these different opportunities, but I think there's ways to go deeper into many aspects of our customer relationship. I'm going to touch on just a few of these. So the first is contact management. That's where Marketing Suite really does start to take your mind, body, or booker and make everything come alive, because you can follow up with the client via email or text message for a number of different milestones, whether it's their first visit, whether it's their 100th visit, whether they gave you feedback in a review, or anything in between. There are so many ways to make this about as close to set it and forget it as possible, but without losing that opportunity for you to make it personal all at the same time. Probably one of my favorite tools alongside Marketing Suite is Messenger AI. Messenger AI is one of those really unique aspects of your customer experience that I recommend you consider, where you can both add text message and web chat to your website and allow for two-way communication, help with booking that's seamless, that doesn't add another staff member necessarily, that leverages your current staff and your current leadership to be able to create something that makes sense for your business, and that leverages that mix of text message and auto emails and automation in a way that I think manages the client experience, but also allows you to have time to do everything else, because you can't do it all. When I think about maybe how you track those interactions, those are really integrated into your core elements of the software. So that's contact logs for noting aspects about clients that you want to remember, or certain touches that you had, whether they're new clients or existing clients. Having client alerts, I use these a lot on the salon and spa side, because we're constantly coding clients for, different things we need to remember, different things we need to mix on the salon side, or things we want to know on the spa side. Utilizing membership icons so that we know how to greet clients, or that our front desk knows how to greet clients when they're coming in. So we know if that membership dot is there, that they're a member of our regular community, and we treat them as such. So utilizing the stuff in the middle of these columns, what it basically allows you to do is have a system in place to be more high touch, to be more relational, but also to keep the business scope and the services on track and on tact. And then there's scheduling and reminders. These are the things I think of as the basics, right? You've probably implemented them for some time, and being so high touch and knowing that in what you all do, there is a customer to client relationship, meaning your staff or you, that is just so unique, because they're able to be seen, able to be touched, able to be heard in a one-on-one or very close to that experience. We know it's important to know their name and to know things about them, but this is where, like I mentioned before, we want to go beyond that. We want to celebrate those milestones that we know. We want to have special occasions and ways that we recognize them. And I think when you put this all together, If you look to the left side of the columns, marketing suite, messenger AI, your auto emails, that gives you the stuff that can be done and doesn't necessarily need ongoing human intervention on a regular basis. In the middle, those are the things we do on the day-to-day. This is where your staff is keeping track of your clients and their interactions, to not just rely on memory, but also to utilize technology to make us even better. And then on the right side, this is where it all comes together. This is where that personal but professional mix of what you do is what makes you uniquely excellent, alongside other things that you're enhancing the customer experience with and helping clients to feel amazing about. And finally, and this is why you're here, is to keep learning. I do believe that beyond the technical, there are many aspects of your business right now that are worth kind of re-rolling up your sleeves and thinking through. So that's everything from memorable experiences that you want to create or that you have created for your clients, having experts in the industry that you can look at and emulate. And I always think, look outside of our industry, look outside of salon and spa, look outside of the greater wellness industry. You'll find some amazing best practices about how you can make the client the forefront of what you do, make their experience part of your services and offerings. And it will be innovative, it'll be unique, and it will set you apart in your local community. And I think give you an edge now more than ever before. Of course, I'm a huge book reader, and I do believe that there are times for you to think and be research driven, and then there's times for you to take action. And so I always think there's a time for you to learn and a time for you to implement. And so when you think on the implementation side, this is where I consider putting those training manuals up right now on your screen, thinking them through, making changes, putting together a staff meeting to talk about those feedback that they get and changes that you want to implement, having maybe feedback from your customers, positive and negative, that you can share with your team. And especially, I think, going back to the entire customer experience, thinking about the sight and the sound and the touch and the feel, and role playing that. I always think, when was the last time as a business owner that I walked through my own business with the perspective of a client? I think it gives us a way to be way more focused on the customer beyond just our services that we currently provide. And I think it gives us a chance to truly understand, when we get customer feedback, that we not only have to embrace it, but it behooves us to embrace it and to find a way to take that feedback that they give us and do something great with it, to do something different. So I want to leave you with thinking about how you can embrace feedback and how you can make some changes to your customer experience. So a couple of things I think about is just simplification. Oftentimes we have so many things that we've done for so long that maybe it's a bit too complicated for a first-time client to book an appointment, as an example, or that we've had 500 reviews come into the business and we feel like that's enough and we stop focusing on that, but we've not yet incentivized what those reviews say to our clients or to our staff, and we haven't followed up with our clients about their feedback, positive or negative. I think one principle that makes the very best in our industry the very best is that they really are, they're responsive to the negative, but they are proactive about the positive. So even when things are good, they're thinking, wow, what more can I do? How much further can we take this love for our customer? What are some things that we can invest in, even if it's non-monetarily, to make the client experience even better? And lastly, that they are prideful about their customer experience to a core, that they don't just share their positive reviews, they live their positive reviews. They truly do have a staff that is bought into the bigger picture, the lifetime value of the client, and that they're kind of utilizing that as their roadmap and their differentiator. And it really is part of what they do that is just as important as the technical and as the services that they provide. So there's a lot there. And there's a question that came up that I thought would be relevant to the group about, with things being so tough right now, you're likely facing some combination of staff issues, shortages, even with product or with things that you need for your business. And potentially a looming recession. I mean, depending on who you listen to, right? And I think this is one of those areas that you actually can use to differentiate. So I think I would be remiss if I didn't say that there does seem to be some storms ahead in the business climate. There's just been so much going on the last couple of years. But one way that I think of as a recession-proof opportunity is truly to figure out the right size staff and the right technology so that you're offering the services that you need with the right amount of touch, with the right client perspective, and at the right price point. So for me personally, my salon business, what we did is we invested very early on in Messenger AI as our digital receptionist. And the reason we did that was a couple of things, but particularly because we knew adding more staff to our roster was not a part of our KPIs. And yet we needed to embrace our client feedback more. We needed to incentivize our team. We needed to have something that kind of corralled our client communications. And it really did just that, being able to welcome potential clients on our website a bit more personally, giving them a clear place to book into our MindBody, and then being able to tie it all together from an operational perspective. It was incredibly helpful to us. And it really did kind of re-energize and recharge our staff because they were aware that we were investing in the business, but we were doing so in a way that was sustainable, so that, whatever life threw at us, we weren't staff heavy. We weren't under profitable, which is something that I'm very passionate about. And so we had resources left over to improve the customer experience, to pay bonuses to our staff based on their experiences, and to have that high quality, high touch client experience that honestly, without technology and without automation, we could not have done any other way. So that's one example of those 5 pillars and how you can utilize it to be even more successful now. And I think to embrace whatever comes in the future with the attitude of, I can do something about it and I will do something about it. I want to leave up a quote that I absolutely love, and I believe it because as a business owner myself and working with countless business owners like you in this industry, this is the most truthful thing I've heard in a long time. And that is to thank your customer for complaining and mean it. Most will never bother to complain. They'll just walk away. So when I think about getting feedback, both from your clients, but also from what I consider your first client, which is your staff, and getting to know kind of what's making their job easier and harder and what's making them happy and retain themselves, it's not just incredibly important because it's part of what we do as a small and locally owned business most times. Gosh, it's also what's going to keep you recession proof. It's also what's going to keep you doing great and evolving no matter what the world throws at you. So I'm just going to take a moment here and give you a chance to apply what you've learned to your own unique business. And hey, if you're open, I'd love to see you throw into the chat maybe a couple of unique experiences that you're considering offering to your clients, maybe something that has stood out to you or that has made you think twice, or any opportunities that you're thinking about or principles that you're thinking about restructuring for your business. So I'll take just a minute there. And finally, you'll see in the chat a resource for you to go even deeper One of the things I love about partnering with MindBody is they're always giving you resources that are relevant and applicable to your industry, and that just make it so easy for you to go deeper and to grow and thrive in your business. And especially when it comes to customer experience, now more than ever, this is the time for you to leverage every resource you can, so that you can be even more successful. And you'll find that link to the checklist that you see here in the chat. So I want to thank you. I've spent a lot of time talking at you today. And if I leave you with anything else, it really would be to stay encouraged, to take the time to see the positive in your circumstance and the positive in what you bring to your customers' experience now. But then don't be afraid also to turn that positive into a what more can we do, right? What's that pickle that you can give to your clients now to make them even stickier, even more excited about their next service coming in? And what's that differentiator? What's that thing that sets you apart in your local environment and your competitive environment, so that you're doing so much more than just delivering services? You're creating customer relationships and experience that are for life.
All right. Well, it looks like we're at time. KK, thank you so much for sharing such great insights today. Please keep an eye out for our follow-up email with helpful resources and the recording. Thank you everyone again for joining today's webinar, and we'll see you next time.